I'm so proud, really, to have these two presenters with us. So I'm just going to say something about them. First off, of course, there's the author of the masterpiece, Chintu. Yes. It was a winner of the Kwane Manuscript Prize, but it then went on to win the $150,000, I can't help but mention that, Wyndham Campbell Prize for Literature, Dr. Jennifer Nansabuga Makumbi. And I am also pleased and proud to have a lovely, lovely person. Listed as one of the Africa 39 and winner of the K. Selo Dwika Memorial Award for her novel London, Cape Town, and Joburg, Zukiswa Wana. Yeah. And I will now hand over to her.
Thank you, Ake Festival and Lola. Thank you, Jeff. It is my pleasure to present the Noma Award for Best Graphic Novel of Comic by Africans. The nominees are Eru, writers and artists, Toby Ezogu and Ozo Ezogu. You can applaud. Guardian Prime, Genesis, written by Wale Awelenje and art by Jide Martin. Hero Kekere, writer Tobe Ezogu and artist Kelechi Isaac. Ireti Bidemi, Michael Balogun, and artist by Adele Yusuf. Lake of Tears, writer Kwabena Ofe, artist Seto Fidi Bay. Quest and the Sign of the Shining Beast, writer Robert S. Marlin, and the artist is John Koksho. And our winner is, drumroll, Kwabena Ofe and Seto Fedi. And Kwabena is here to accept the award. Congratulations, sir.
Wow, there's a lot of people. This is actually my first time here, and Seto and I really weren't expecting to win anything because the only impact we thought the Lake of Tears was going to have was within our community. But then now I'm here accepting an award in front of all you amazing people, and that actually tells me that there is really power in African creative collaboration. So all I would say is that all of us should just continue to collaborate together across the pond, in the pond, around the pond, under the pond. We should just continue to keep doing amazing things, and let's just do a lot more because we really are it. And let's collaborate, create, and kick ass. But thank you.
The $1,000 prize will be shared between the writer and the artist. The short story form is key for all African fiction, but especially for speculative fiction. The nominees for the 2018 Noma Award for Speculative Short Fiction are Chinelo Onwalu, Read Before Use, first published in Uncanny magazine. Henrietta Rose Inez, Snake Story, first published in the Johannesburg Review of Books. Narine Dorman, On the Other Side of the Sea, first published in Omenana. Swongile Fisher, Adora Ja, first published in Short Story Day Africa. Wole Talabi, The Regression Test, first published in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. And the winner is Wole Talabi, The Regression Test. Talabi.
Thank you. Okay, well, that was awkward. Thank you, everyone. Like the guy that came up here just said, there's really a lot of people. But I just want to thank, there's many people I want to thank. I've been writing short stories for a long time. I mostly write science fiction because I think it's cool. And as I've gone along, it's picked up a bit of political angle to it as well. The regression test is more philosophical than anything else, which is weird because I came up with the idea at a massage parlor and finished it in a bar, but you know, here I am now. So thank you for everyone that read the story. Thank you to everyone that voted for it. If you haven't read it yet, I hope you do. I hope you enjoy it. It features a 111-year-old woman, as a Nigerian woman as the main character, so I think that's interesting. You might like that. But everyone keep reading, keep writing, and I hope we all enjoy these fantastical futures that we're going to be talking about for the next 3 days. Thank you.
Congratulations again. Dr. Talabi will receive the $500 prize money from the Ilube Foundation. It is now my pleasure to hand over to my friend, my sister. She's older than me. Nantubuga Jennifer Makumbi. That's a lie.
Thank you, Izukiswa, and thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Ake. Lola, this is the best place I've ever been, and I'm telling you, I've done so many festivals, and this is my second one, but this is where I come to be myself, outrageous and loud. Thank you very much. Now, the nominees for the 2018 NOMO Award for Best Novella are Nedi Okorafor, that's Binti Home. So this is the second in the sequence of last year's NOMO Award winner. This time, Binti returns to her African homeland from the stars. It was first published by Toll.com. The second one is Sophia Samatar Fallow. It's a Mennonite colony from Ethiopia fights for survival and meaning on a hostile planet. It was first published by Samatar's collection, Tender. The next nominee is Tade Thompson. The murders of Molly Southburn. Every time Molly bleeds, a new identical Molly is created who must kill her. It was first published by Toll.com. And the winner is, since his regret, I was looking forward to meeting him.
I know, right? Even
next is the Tom Ilube Awards. Now, Tom Ilube is the man who finances the NOMO Awards, and so the award for the best novel is named after him. I should use one of 150 for an award, shouldn't I? Get named after me.
you can still give me my 10%.
The nominees for the 2018 Ilube NOMO Award for Best Speculative Novel are Gavin Chait for Our Memories Like Dust, which is a novel on the near future of migrant crisis, terrorism, and climate collapse, and a secret down deep in the heart of the desert, the Sahara. Next is Marcia Dutoit, The Real. In an apocalyptic future, the eye lets you enter the strange. A series of alternative realities. So I'm going to say that again. In an apocalyptic future, the eye lets you enter the strange, a series of alternative realities. However, a young South African girl comes back to our reality with her cyborg dog. And Then we have Dion Meyer, Fever, a story of survival of a father and son in a post-plague South Africa. We have Nedi Okorfo, Akata Warrior, the long-awaited sequel to Akata Witch. The heroine continues to fight the masquerade and relate to her spiritual faith, Anyanu. And we have Deji Olakutun, After the Flare. A giant solar flare wipes out electrical infrastructure in most nations. Only countries close to the equator are spared. So the Nigerian space program takes on the job of rescuing the astronauts trapped in the International Space Station. Wow. The final nominee is Tochi Onyebuchi. And his novel is called Beasts Made of Night. The mages have found a way to concentrate guilt for sins into deadly spiritual beasts, which only the sin eaters can absorb. But the stigma of that means sin eaters are despised. That's the Beast Made of the Night. And the winner of the 2018 Ilube Normal Award is Tochi! Yes.
Did you dress nicely knowing you were going to win?
Well done.
Wow. I haven't been this popular since high school. I can't express what an honor this is. Being born or growing up Niger American is, I developed an affinity with cyborgs, sort of, half of both, all of neither. Is he man, is he machine, is he Nigerian, is he American? And writing Beast Made of Night, this was the first novel, and I'd been writing since I was a kid, but Beast Made of Night was the first novel that I wrote wherein I allowed myself to really delve into Nigeria, Nigerian heritage, and where I come from. And in many ways, it was an attempt on my part to go from conceiving of myself as half Nigerian to all Nigerian, recognizing in my Africanness my full humanity. And so I must thank you for bestowing upon me this honor. And I've also been asked on behalf of all the nominees and winners to thank our presenters, Jennifer Makumbi and Zuki Swawana. Also, of course, the Ake Festival and African Speculative Fiction Society. Thank you and welcome to Ake.
Congratulations again, Tochi, and congratulations to all the winners. Tochi, don't worry, we are going to pour schnapps on the ground to welcome you home properly. I'd like to welcome His Excellency F. John Bray, the Consul General of the U.S. On behalf of him, we have the Public Affairs Officer, Mr. Russell Brooks.
Good morning. At least I think it's still morning. His Excellency, Mr. Vice President, members of the diplomatic community, Lola, artists and authors, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Now, unfortunately, the U.S. Consul General is traveling and unable to be here today. He would have loved this opportunity to extend his appreciation to Nigeria's creative community and the outstanding international representatives that are here today. Nevertheless, I'm pleased to be here as part of the official opening of the 6th edition of the Ake Arts and Book Festival, an outstanding program that promises 3 days of cultural immersion. The Ake Festival's aim is to develop, promote, and celebrate creativity on the African continent, an aim that overlaps with the U.S. mission to Nigeria's aim to generate constructive, change-making American-Nigerian cultural conversations. I'm told the festival achieves its aim by featuring conversations about books, by exhibiting art, producing a stage play, by organizing school visits, hosting panel discussions, film and documentary screenings, a musical concert, and a night of poetry performance. In our missions cultural sections, we use very similar methods to promote American-Nigerian creative collaborations. And one of our aims at the U.S. Consulate in Lagos is to bring American cultural leaders to Nigeria to meet, exchange ideas, and collaborate with Nigerian cultural leaders. Through people-to-people connections, we hope to foster a deeper relationship between our two countries. Which brings me to this year's festival theme, Fantastical Futures. I think it is very appropriate. I've lived in this country for a little more than 2 years, and I've met Nigerians from across the length and breadth of the country, and in that time I've learned, just as the festival announces, Nigeria's future is fantastic. One key ingredient that assures a fantastic future for Nigeria is the depth of creativity found here in all fields. Whether I'm meeting an entrepreneur or an artist, I'm always impressed by how Nigerians work tirelessly to solve problems, to develop solutions, and to generate prosperity. Nigerians definitely make things happen, and they do so with ingenuity and resourcefulness. That creative quality is sure to generate a fantastic future. In particular, I and many others have come to love Nigerian literature, and I'm looking forward to seeing the great display that will be on display, the great selection that will be on display during the festival. To all the writers and artists, thank you for all that you have achieved to date, and I wish you continued success. God bless Nigeria. God bless Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, especially those who are not Nigerian, have you ever heard of the phrase, Naija no dey carry last? Yes. You've not heard of it? How do I put it in English? Like we always, we're always excellent. We're first all the time. We don't do things by halves. Yeah. So as a Nigerian, if you grew up with Nigerian parents, you come home, you think that you were like second in class, you think like you're doing really well. Your parents will look at you like, so the person that came first, do they have two heads? I don't understand, And just meet a Nigerian parent like at a wedding, like this is where they come their full display. Like, Tochi is now, he's a doctor. He even wrote a book. And he has a big house in Connecticut. And he plays music too. And he does this and just like, it's only you. Anyway, our next guest is one of those people. She has 2 novels. She plays piano. She sings. She has a PhD holder. You see, does she have 2? Now only you waka come, Ladies and gentlemen, Chibundu Onuzo.
Dr. Chibundu Onuzo.
Don't be annoyed.
So in the spirit of observing protocols, I would like to recognize all the excellence in the room, the literary excellence, the legal excellence, the musical excellence. So greetings, your excellencies, all protocols observed. So I'm going to sing for you today. I'm going to sing 2 songs. One I'll sing by myself, the other I'll get you guys to join. So the first is called Aka Akaya, which in Igbo means the strong arm of the Lord does mighty things. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me after this, but that's what I think it means. Okay. Who is that? aka akaya, aka Jehovah nemema, orebubeya, keneru arinefeno, isi kendu, kenadigi atata, aka akaya, aka Jehovah nemema. If you know it, join me. Aka akaya, aka Jehovah nemema. Go on. Onebubeya, keneru arinefeno, isi kendu, kenadigi atata, aka akaya, aka Jehovah nemema. The Lord our way maker, the Lord our strength, aka akaya, aka Jehovah nemema. The Lord our strong tower, the Lord our shield, aka akaya, aka Jehovah nemema. Thank you, thank you. And the next song I'm going to do, so it requires your participation. It's sung by Victor Wifo, Sir Victor Wifo. It's called Joromi. So I sing, I gonna be Joromi, Joromi, Jo, on a lot of Hey, good. You've eaten breakfast. Are you gonna be? You can clap, Jo. Clap for Lola, oh, oh, clap for Lola, oh, she done organize Akeo for many, many years, oh, oh, make you clap for Lola, oh, 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 clap for Lola, oh, Lola don't do Akeo after many, many years, oh, thank you.
You guys can do better than that. Come on. You see? Now only she can come. Thank you very much for that wonderful performance. I would like to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Jerome Pasquier, the French ambassador.
Your Excellencies, Vice President, Excellencies, friends, all protocol observed. I understand that this is a formula in Nigeria. I've been here for only 1 month, so I'm not very used to your habits. To be very frank, when I've been told that I shall have to say a few words in front of such a high-level audience, talented, and I am even more afraid now because you will be very disappointed. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't play music, and I don't even write good speeches. So I am only, if we only to convey you 2 small, short messages. The first one is really to congratulate Ake Festival, Lola, the whole team of Ake Festival, because I think it's extremely important to have this type of festival to defend literature, poetry, and all the other forms of art. It's extremely important everywhere, and it's probably extremely important in Nigeria, where you have so evil people who want to prevent men and women, boys and girls, especially women, especially girls, to learn how to read. You are very aware of the situation. We know that illiteracy is helping bad people to manipulate undereducated people. So to defend literacy, to defend education is very important. I know, Mr. Vice President, that you are very convinced of the importance of education. But I think it's important that this type of festival, and really congratulate to all of you. You are also defending freedom of expression, healthy debates. All those issues are essential. They are universal values that have to be defended everywhere, in Nigeria, in Africa, in Europe, everywhere. My second message is completely different and is more related to my capacity as a French representative. I want to really tell you how Nigerian literature is now very popular in France. Maybe not everybody, but anybody have heard about Baba Segi, of course. But more and more Nigerian books are now translated into French. To give you two examples, this very year, one Nigerian book was selected on the first list of a very important literary prize in France, the Prix Femina. And another example is that yesterday night, I read in the French newspaper Le Monde, which is the more influential newspaper in France, in their literary supplement, there was a full page about French book recently translated into French, which is Under the Udala Tree. And I understand that this book is going to be very successful in France. So you know, Nigerian literature, African literature is now quite well known, and that's very important. You probably remember that when President Macron was in Lagos 3 months ago, he announced that we are going to welcome in France an Africa year. The idea is to have African people explaining Africa to French people. Past Africa, present Africa, future Africa in all dimensions. And with this good number of books translated into French, I think the literature, Nigerian literature, African literature will have a very important place in this Africa Year 2020. One last word, more personal. I would like to conclude this short message with a little word for one of former colleagues and writer at the French consulate here, Pierre Cheruot, who passed away last August in a tragic accident. I know that Pierre was a very close friend of all of you, Lola especially, a fervent supporter of the Ake Festival. And he would have been particularly happy to attend this edition and would have brought all the support he could to contribute to its success. We all miss him today. May he rest in peace. I wish a great success to this 6th edition of Ake Festival. Thank you et merci.
Thank you. Monsieur Pasquier, I just wanted to say, you know, we have writers in the room. If you need anyone to write your speeches, hey, you know. I'd like to welcome Vlisco to talk about the Vlisco Creative Women Awards, Mrs. Yvonne Chioke.
Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, the Vice President, distinguished guest, all protocol observed. I'm representing Vlisco, better known as Hollandis, the Dutch wax. Vlisco has been designing in manufacturing distinguished fabrics loved by African women since 1846. Vlisco is not only here to trade, but also to add value to the lives of our stakeholders, the African women. We understand that despite the many struggles of African women, her beauty is beyond compare, and we are always glad to be involved in partnerships that will make that beauty shine through, such as this festival. When Lola asked me if we would consider to sponsor again, we didn't have to think twice, and we are proud to share her journey and be a part of it. I have the great honor to give out awards. And so with this opportunity, we would like to celebrate just a few women of all the people who have actually are here also to deserve an award, but we want 5 women who stand out in our opinion. For her dedication in providing young girls in public high schools and IDP camps across Nigeria with access to sanitary hygiene products, for her empowering of young girls and spearheading conversations around the social stigma of menstruation and social media, and the wider community of young women across Nigeria, Flisco presents the gift to Cynthia Ndachi. Will she be here? Okay, I will move on. For her outstanding commitment to African art and literature by introducing Kina Reads, one of the first literary blogs dedicated to African literature, for her contribution to promoting African writers, for her tenacity to improving the educational and social well-being of rural and urban disadvantaged children in Ghana, Flisco presents the gift to Kina Likamani. The gifts will be given out later. I think there's a bit of a miscommunication, but they will come soon. While she's coming up, should give her a round of applause. Okay. Is she coming? Or we do the gift outs later? Okay. The third one, for her passion and continued efforts in giving a voice to the underrepresented in the society, for her dedication to fostering inclusivity and empowering to the marginalized, for using media and film as a tool for development, advocacy, and education, so that the world better understands the plea of those displaced in conflict. Flisco presents this gift to Umi Bakar. Congratulations. For her courage and relentlessness uncovering the difficult and hidden stories around sickle cell anemia, grief and skin disease, for promoting women's rights and social justice, for using her poetry and creativity to advocate for women's rights and the guarding of their bodies. Flisco presents this gift to Wana Udoban. For her continued commitment and passion for African literature and its development in Africa, for her enormous support and faith in the younger generation of African writers, for her exceptional writing and books that defy stereotypes of what African writing should be, for venturing in publishing as a way of raising the quality of African literature. Flisco presents this gift to Sukishwa Vanne. I hereby congratulate. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I hope you keep on writing and keep on advocating. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. That was a wonderful surprise. Oh, gosh. Y'all want to make me cry now. Wow, thank you guys so much. That was incredible. I will hold my tears and carry on with the program. I'd like to invite Yvonne Mbanefo and Louisa Egbunike to come up to the stage, please.
No, ndioma. Nkonye chere ya zere. So that covers the protocol bit in Igbo language. This collaboration came about when we were discussing about with Lola earlier on this year in London about promoting indigenous languages, and she mentioned that Yoruba language, there would be a panel on Yoruba languages. So that's how we ended up collaborating with Ake Festival 2018. All right. So basically, we need more collaborations in the arts, cultures, and indigenous languages. It's extremely important. Of all the continents in the world, Africa has the most languages, over 2,000. And out of those 2,000, over 2,000 languages, 40 languages have become extinct. I'm sure you can agree with me, for these languages that have become extinct, the stories, the proverbs, the cultures, the knowledge, everything has died. Now, there are hundreds more that are about to die. So, part of what we're doing is to make sure that all the writers, all the artists, everyone here thinks about writing or getting their work translated in all the various languages. Because if we don't do this, everything will just disappear. And languages and culture are intertwined. For example, in Igbo language, you cannot start anything without breaking a kola nut. And kola nut is not broken in any other language than Igbo language. So if we have children who cannot speak Igbo, how can they continue in the culture? So I'll hand over to...
Yvonne and I organize an annual Igbo conference in the UK, and at this Ake Festival, we'll be having a couple of panels, pop-ups. So it's a way of bringing what we've been doing in the UK, in the diaspora, to Nigeria. And this is our first time participating in an event in Nigeria, so we're really excited to be part of the Ake Festival, and we want to thank Lola for inviting us to be part of this wonderful festival. The annual Igbo conference in the UK, it's a chance to celebrate, to share knowledge, to engage in Igbo language and culture. And it's a conference that seeks for knowledge exchange. So it brings academics, creative people in the creative arts, and the general public to create a space for knowledge exchange for the betterment of all of us. And so we sort of seek to bridge this divide between these different spaces. Please join us tomorrow. This is a plug for our sessions at 9:20 a.m. We have an Igbo language panel on divinity and spirituality in Igbo tradition. And then at 10:30, we have a panel, Recollections of the Biafra-Nigeria War. In addition to organizing the conference, we have a couple of other projects. We're working on a digital Igbo archive, again, about knowledge exchange and allowing people all over the world to participate in what we do. And we're also working with a collective of Nigerian artists on a touring exhibition exploring the legacies of Biafra. I'll just pass over to Yvonne to say some final words.
Okay, we just tie up. We don't want to bore everyone. So, but it's really, really important that we continue conversations, intellectual conversation in indigenous languages. And also, there's so much to be done in promoting our indigenous languages. Apart from writing our stories, we can also dip into the Western classics. Like, for example, I'm translating Alice in Wonderland now into Igbo, and there's no reason why she can't be... There's no reason why Alice cannot be answering Amaka and plucking mangoes instead of apples. So, Dalu Norine, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Don't worry, guys. We're about to wrap up. It's almost time. I would like to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Ketil Carson, who is the Ambassador for the European Union.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Vice President, dear colleagues, dear artists, dear wonderful and unique Lola. It's great to be here, and I'm told to be brief, so I'll try to stick to my promises on that. But I must say, wow, what an impressive display of energy, of creativity, of intellect. And that leads me to say that there is no doubt in my mind that I'm definitely one of the least talented people on stage this morning. I think that is what around 20 years of diplomatic service does to creativity by the end of the day. But that makes it only the more fabulous to be amongst people that have the ability to reflect and describe the world around us, but to create worlds of their own with a brush of a pen or a brush, with a movement, with a hand, with a sound even. And I think maybe because by the end of the day, we are all descendants of Africa. I think we feel deep inside those expressions that we see here today. And when I saw this fantastical futures title of the conference, or other than being a bit perplexed about the word fantastical, of course, I came to think about one of the writers from my own country, Denmark, that I have liked the most. She was a lady, Karen Blixen, and it took her to come to Africa and to live here for 17 years to find her very debut, that by the way she had to publish under the pseudonym of a man at that point in time, which is very unfortunate, but later on she stood her ground as a pioneer of women writers in the world. But her debut was, believe it or not, called Fantastic Tales. Gothic tales, maybe she should have called them fantastical tales, I think. In those tales, she said something very simple yet fascinating about the future. She said, God made the world round so that we should not be able to see too far down the road. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, for good and bad. We see all the richness that we see displayed here today, but of course we also see all the difficulties that we encounter on the world scene. And there we need artists, and we need the art to help open our eyes, to expand our horizon, because you are one of the few global languages that we have, together with food and love maybe, uniting figures of what make us human beings by the end of the day. So that innovative force, that force of creativity, is a vital and integral part of our societies and of our well-being. We understand that in the European Union, we hope, and we understand that without that, the human being is naked. And now, bridging to the next speaker, let me just end by saying that maybe there is some truth to the words, that if only more politicians were artists and more artists were politicians, the world would be a better place. So thank you very much, and have a fantastical festival.
Ambassador Carson, this is Akeso. We're a family, which means we welcome both the talented and not so talented sometimes. It's fine. Just joking. It's a family, so we welcome everyone here. This is home for us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome His Excellency, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Please sit. Your Excellencies, honored guests, all protocols observed. I'm really quite pleased that I have a chance not to go through protocols, and also that, just as someone said, that you can just be yourself. So this is really the best company that one could possibly be. A company of people who are just happy to be themselves. So I'm really glad to be here. And I hope I'll be invited next year as well. I'm honored to be in your midst today. Creatives are probably the only occupational group that still have a reputation left in our world today. And the simple reason is that they don't really allow anyone to put them in a box. So, you know, they can always escape. They can be anything they like at any time. Lawyers, for example, my profession, are the most maligned. You know. Descriptions ranging from scorpions to sharks and all that. And of course, politicians are the scum of the earth. So what sort of image would a lawyer politician like myself have? I really, frankly, blame no one for my lot, you know, except probably my mom. And I really might have been a modestly successful poet, but for the most traumatic incident that happened when I was about 10 years old. There was a girl in my class who I was quite certain at the time that I could give my life for. So I wrote her a lovely poem over a weekend, you know. I wrote the poem on Friday and finished it on Saturday. And if I may say so myself, a work of sheer genius. It ended with the dramatic words, "Your warm embrace may be the last desire of my heart before I die." Well, there are those, of course, there are those here who might think that, well, there isn't much, you know, not much rhythm in that. But anyway, I tucked it in my school bag and looked forward with a heart filled with love for Monday to present it to the object of my affections. My mom, while cleaning out the bag, found the letter, and all hell broke loose. Needless to say, she bit the poetic genius out of me. That terrible afternoon. But that's not the end of the story. True love, as you know, will survive even the worst brutality. So I bore my injuries as a worthy suffering for my beloved. On Monday morning, I found the best opportunity to give her a freshly written version of the poem. I walked away and turned away as she read it. I didn't want to behold the sheer pleasure that this poem would give her. But as I turned around, I noticed that she had actually handed the poem over to the teacher. And she was pointing at me. While my physical bruises have healed from that experience, from, as you can imagine, what happened with the teacher, my capacity for writing romantic poetry has been greatly diminished. Fantastical Futures is the audaciously inspirational theme of this iteration of the Ake Book Festival. Why do we in today's world dare to hope for a future so fantastic that it can be described as fantastical? The reason is, if I may offer one, that there is, for those who have cast this great vision, Lola and her friends and collaborators, they have not allowed their vision to be beclouded by the cataracts of discouragement that so easily beset us. Two of those cataracts to our vision are worthy of mention. The first is a disdain for introspection, which has just come over time. That capacity for deep thought, and making that the basis of planning and action. It's a disdain for introspection that causes our elite to spend or embezzle all the cash and opportunities of the present and make it the burden of a leaner future to pay for our corruption and carelessness. A failure to interrogate the past, coupled with a reluctance to explain the benefit of deferring gratification, is the creative also sometimes unable to stick to a cause because it may no longer be popular. Niyi Oshundare, a poet I'm sure that we're all familiar with, Niyi Oshundare, captures this elite inability to defer gratification in a provocative poem titled Eating Tomorrow's Yam. And I quote a portion of it. He said, "There is only one left in the village barn. The prodigal calls for a knife. What shall we eat tomorrow?" the people ask. "If we finish all the yam today, just how shall we feel when the dunghill has relieved stomachs of their improvident burden?" And says the prodigal, quote, "Tomorrow will take care of itself. How can we know the next day if we die of hunger today?" The recursive one step forward, two step backwards of our histories, especially in Africa, has caused Professor Tanure Ojaide, and I'm sure you're all familiar with him as well, in his angry style to ask, what poets do our leaders read? Again, Ojaide in his poem, "No Longer Our Country," remonstrates, and I quote him, "We have lost it, the country we were born into. We can now sing dirges of the Commonwealth only of yesterday. We have a country that is no longer our own." But even he, that is Ojaide, will agree that societies are built by men and women, not spirits. Which leads me to the second cataract that blurs our vision, and that is the failure to recognize the responsibility of the individual, especially the gifted individual. Does the artist have a responsibility to society beyond that of the ordinary citizen? Is there a civic tax payable on talent? Does the fact of your genius place upon you a moral burden to attempt to use the powerful voice of your art to fight for the soul of the land, especially to fight for the soul of the land from whence you came, to take moral positions? Are you, by virtue of your intellect and creativity, a moral agent, or are you not? Can you afford to be neutral? Can you be politically neutral? Can you, in the face of so much that needs to be done, poverty, deprivation, injustice, stay politically neutral? Can Africa afford to have its best talents wearing halos of political innocence and saying, "Let us leave politics to the scoundrels"? There is a growing impatience of the deprived millions of our people with the elite, which includes all of us in this room. The bombs tied to the 11-year-old body of Safiatu, a malnourished girl who has never been to school, cannot distinguish between a lawyer like Yemi Osinbajo or a writer like Molara Wood. The bombs do not discriminate. But two things before I take my seat. And one is in response to Lola, who asked for some kind of policy group for creatives. Earlier this year, the government established the Technology and Creativity Sector Working Group, a policy committee of federal government ministers and heads of agencies with creatives, tech and entertainment business owners. The group meets to work on policy, including rules and regulations, regularly. So we do have now a policy group which takes into account the sorts of views that creatives may want, especially in formulating policy. And that is so for technology, persons in technology as well. So I think that there is plenty of room for expression, especially the way that we want to see policies shaped that could affect creatives and that could affect those involved in technology. The last, before I say it, is that did you enjoy the story I told earlier? Yes. It was fiction. I wish you all a fantastical future. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. When are you giving us the novel? We will buy it. We will put money in his pocket. We will buy it. Media Books will publish it. And speaking of books, you can buy books at the books. The bookstore is on Obadosumu. Yes, at Buddha House. So this is the fun part, guys. We'd like the guests to come on stage, run onto the stage for photographs, please. Yes. So please, guests. Yes. Like all the invited guests to please come on the stage. So Lola said that people who are short should stay in front, please. Please, let's do this very quickly. Please, can we have the partners on stage as well?
It is, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my very special honor and pleasure to declare the 6th Ake Book and Arts and Book Festival open.
She's outside. She's waiting for Martina.
Because I've been looking at your work, I've been thinking of just...